We have Ash Britt, Maggie Moran. We've got Fiera with wire transfers that are being paid by who knows why and for what and for how much. We got wedding rings. We got all kinds of stuff that you're trying to pull. We got no transparency, and you want us to trust you blindly, and you can't even tell the people in this room what this levy is. It's taxes levied against everybody who owns a property in this town. If you can't come up with the money to pay that $7.5 million and the other $41 million that you owe, that this town owes in debt. You're a master at changing the conversation tonight. You got people talking about building sizes and things, and the real conversation is you're putting Belmar $7.5 more million in debt, and if you can't pay it, because the beach revenue doesn't come through, you're going to levy. And that's just this one guy asked here, well, why can't you put that in? And your lawyer knows you can't. You've got to levy the townspeople if you can't do it. Am I right? Mayor, yes or no? Am I right? The levy. Don't be a smart guy. Am I right? Are you going to levy the tax? No, because I don't like that condescending attitude.
What about your yelling?
He's smug. He's looking at me. All right, okay, I'm going to lower my voice. Am I right? Will you levy the taxpayers?
Every time the borough of Belmar goes out to bond, the city goes to bond for water and sewer. We have a water sewer utility that pays those bonds. But the state requires in the bond rates, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's always the full faith and credit.
Right, so you will levy the townspeople a tax if we can't pay, is that right?
Let me,
He won't answer.
I just keep repeating myself here.
Is it
There will
right?
not be any property tax used.
What is this levy then?
Sir, I'm trying to answer your question.
No, you're not. Is it, will you tax the people in the town with a levy?
No,
You won't.
I will not.
So this is wrong.
That's not wrong.
This
I'm
is-
telling
this-
you, I'm not going to.
You won't use this?
No.
He said it right here. No. If it ever comes down to we can't, you won't do this. If you send a levy up, we can't fight you on a levy. If you levy us, the fact that you just said no, we can't do nothing about it. We have to pay that levy. Just so everybody knows, even though he said no, if they levy us, we have to pay it. And you can't say, well, Mayor, you said no. You will have to pay it. If you were lying, why do you think we don't trust you? And some of us are up for re-election, and you better think about that. You are, and you two better think about that next time, because you wouldn't answer the question. And thanks a lot, because we're going to remember it.
Nice respect.
You don't get respect because I didn't get any from him.
Sit down.
You don't deserve it.
Sir,
He's up for re-election. This man's up for re-election.
You work together.
Carol Marr, Oakwood Road. First, I want to say full disclosure, I worked in at the beach. I'm a beach seller, badge seller. I'm still getting compliments from our tourists that don't live in town about the boardwalk and everything that's on it right now, and that we have a beach back. There are some even come up and go, wow, I thought you guys lost everything. It doesn't look it. And they are really impressed about what has happened down at the beach. And I, for one, now on a personal note, would like to see it keep going forward so that next summer they can say, wow, you've got some buildings back. It looks fantastic. The other thing I want to say, and this is another personal note, I come to most council meetings. And tonight I'm hearing, oh, well, we didn't know this, and we didn't know that, and information has to be given. Come, walk in this room, put your butts in these seats, open your ears, and you'll get the information.
Sure.
I'm Bob Fallon, 707 15th Avenue. This is not an agenda item, but I think we've sort of moved off that briefly now
No,
and
we're still on
then.
pavilion.
This is a minute. Oh, only the pavilion?
Yeah, pavilions.
Okay, I can
Public
say,
comment,
I
think
can
about
say
one
that I
comment.
love the pavilions idea, and I can just say something else like the dunes, or a little question, a little suggestion that I have. Won't take a minute.
Okay.
I thank you for your patience this whole evening. At my age, I took a nap just to get here. The suggestion is simply this. Along the lines of attracting people to the community, the man who said, hey, you have a good dinner, you come back again. I have often spoken about the people who park on 15th Avenue, Claire worked with this, who park on 15th Avenue and block the street and are an annoyance. Now I'm going to speak on their behalf. There is a certain spot on 15th Avenue, west of Main Street, down the street from the boathouse, where there is at the end of the block a storage facility that has outside it 2 driveways that go in like a bay to sort of load and unload. Now there is an area of maybe 15 feet between them that is no parking. And people ought to know that because there are no white lines around there. They should know that. However, I talk to these people and they don't. The reason, it doesn't seem reasonable that there should be no parking spot there. But the reason why it's there is because the trucks have to come around the corner and go down to the boathouse. My suggestion, my request on their behalf of these people I sometimes complain about, because I talk to them, I say, you're going to the boathouse, do you want to add $40 to the bill, otherwise move.
So the suggestion is.
I can't get everybody. The suggestion is, quite simply, paint the 15 feet yellow.
Okay, we'll take a look at
And when
it.
they get out of the cars, they'll see it. If you say no parking, they'll drive over it.
Thank you. Go back, Mike, tonight, Mike? Anything else on the resolution calendar? We're gonna have public portion, this is just the resolution calendar. Just the resolution calendar.
The beach bed. Can I say that now? No?
I guess it's part of the,
Okay.
sure.
You just don't know the other one.
Hold my breath until you're done.
Well, Maria Floria, 115 12th Avenue. I'm just going to tell you that I buy 6 badges every year, not including the senior one. If you raise the prices, I will not buy any more badges. That's my opinion. So right there, that's $360. I know my family come down and they buy also beach badges. So think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. On the resolution.
Mike Seaver again, 110 Second Avenue. Mayor Doherty, there's an item on the resolution calendar to purchase a street sweeper for $189,000. That is the vehicle that's already operating in town, is that correct?
We are test driving the last of 3 different sweepers at the moment, and I'm not sure that the one we're on is similar to the one that we're recommending for, so, yes.
Okay. And just as a follow-up on the issue of transparency, which I've really been a strong proponent of over the years, we're spending large amounts of money, you know, $200,000 for a street sweeper, $7 million for this, $20 million for that. It kind of is adding up. Is there any reason why these project worksheets are not online so that we can actually see what we've submitted to FEMA and what we've been reimbursed? And before you answer that question, I have a follow-up question that I'd like you to contemplate and see if you have an answer for it. Have we actually been denied anything? Because it seems like some of the expenses we incurred, like the boneyard of vehicles parked on 16th Ave. Have we submitted for those for reimbursement? Have we received any reimbursement? Have we been denied any reimbursement? In other words, what I'm looking for is all this information, I believe, should be on the website so everybody can have a thorough understanding of what's going on. This way, if, again, when you get back to saying, well, I've delivered this and I've delivered that, and the 9.2 million was a significant amount of money to bring in for the boardwalk, which is tremendous, and it was 90%. These are the types of things that will allay people's fears and say, wow, you know what, if we're getting reimbursed, then we should move on. But if at the end of the day, we sit down, we look at all of our expenses, and we find that we're not anywhere near where we thought we'd be in terms of reimbursement, based on the different buckets, different submittals, lack of submittals, et cetera, then you have to really genuinely understand why people are watching these numbers, 52 million. I mean, I think our debt rate now is comparable to Middletown. There's a few more people there. So this is the type of thing that transparency is your ally. If all of these numbers are looking this good, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't be telling people, get these numbers on the website. List the project worksheet, show the reimbursement, and then people will know.
We can try to public the PWs. I mean, they're enormous. We can take a look at doing that, summarize it somehow. I will tell you, I told a room of probably about 400 people today about the numbers. I agree with you that if we did get reimbursed, as we said we would, we should move on. So I appreciate you agreeing with me on that one as well. Move on, meaning move forward with our recovery. We have been reimbursed, just as we said we would in November and December. What we said was going to happen, happened. That's why I say we should build trust. Now, I get people are going to go after me, go after my wife, with allegations, but I still have a job to do. And my job, and I'm going to steal a phrase from the government, since Sandy, it truly is a mission. It's a mission to recover and rebuild, and to do it when we can, to do it better than what was there before, to improve upon what was there before.
Well, the definition of better is a little subjective, number one. Number two, we all have jobs to do, and a part of our job is paying for what jobs take place and decisions are made in this town.
Right,
and according to what I've heard so far, let me interrupt for 1 second just to finish up. My going concern still is, I watched other towns being reimbursed, and I've seen different numbers. I still understand our number for the Sandy expenses to be up in the $25, $26 million neighborhood. We've not got 90% of that back, correct?
We're on a path to get 90% back. There are still some things with debris that we're handling over. There are still more project worksheets to be submitted. This is, as people may have mentioned, this is only 9.5 months after. We're still seeking that reimbursement. What I'm telling you, just as I mentioned before, it's coming. So when people say there's $54 million in debt, it's not true. Did we go up that high? Yeah. Is FEMA reimbursing us to bring that down? Yes. But when they go door to door, they don't tell them that. They just say there's $54 million in debt and the mayor wants to put another 7. It's just not true.
Well, okay, can I ask you a point-blank question? Have we submitted anything to FEMA and been flat out denied based on it was not a storm-related expense?
I can find out, but my first information was saying no. But I will find out for you, and I will call Colleen, will leave your email, I'll have her email.
Okay, so on the 20-some-odd million Sandy-related expenses, we're still on track to get 90% back, or between 75 and 90. I know the 90 is.
It looks like 90.
Okay. I'd love to see that information online, and I think that if you're willing to, I'll finish up real quickly. If you're willing to go forward and put pro forma statements to substantiate your basis to go forward in constructing these pavilions and give people the assurances that all of the variables and stuff were included and considered and really self-explanatory, then I think this is also something that we as taxpayers should be allowed to see on an ongoing basis what we're submitting, what we're receiving back, and how the process is working. I think that would go a long way in letting people know, as money is just rifling through Belmar, where we stand. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice night.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions on the resolution calendar?
Ted Eman, Oakwood Road, Belmar. Thank you for saving the best for last, Mayor. Tonight you kept saying you hear us. How often do you get a voter petition with 512 signatures on it?
I haven't counted the one regarding.
The one for the Boardwalk Pavilion to be on the ballot. It's 512 registered voter signatures.
Well, yeah, but you gotta remember that's predicated on misinformation, so.
No, again, that's a cheap shot. I'm with Noreen. I walked Rhode Island Point, met Claire's mom. That was very nice. Thank you for introducing me. But I spent 5 days. And Carol Moore will tell you, she's my neighbor, I didn't make her read a flyer. There wasn't one person, Mayor, that even read the flyer before they signed the petition. What they did was read the petition, which is what they were signing. And all of them. So, I had a voter registration list with me so I could make sure that these were registered voters, so it's valid when it goes to you, and April can check against it. And I noticed, I met wonderful neighbors. I noticed that, over a third were Democrats signing the petition. I didn't have this conversation, like, read this flyer, can't you see what the mayor's trying to, it was none of that. I said, it's a petition to put the decision about, and the cost about, the buildings up for a vote, put it on a referendum. There was another third that were independent. Actually, the least amount was Republican that signed it. But I felt really good. At the end of the day, I went back and I said, Bill, it was really great. It was so easy. All I did was knock on their door and say, we have a petition, and they say, what's it about? I had them read the petition. Sharon Day was very happy because she had some horrible rumors that were being spread around the Borough Hall that it was all about the designs. And when I finally showed her what the petition was and how it read, she thanked me. So misinformation can happen on your end too, and in your offices. You mentioned earlier at the very beginning that you created the special committee, and I went to the unveiling, and there wasn't quorum. But there were 4 members of the committee, and Brian was there, and he took our ideas, and I really appreciated that. It's the first time I've seen him, and I thought, as I understood, it was the first time people on the committee saw them. It was the unveiling
of the buildings.
Buildings.
Yeah, we had other meetings starting with the lights, the boardwalk.
Right, so it was hard to comment before that meeting.
For the buildings?
Yeah, because even the committee hadn't seen the final architectural plans.
We probably did speak about it, but you're right. And then he went back, and then the next month came back with drawings of the buildings that we had talked about before then. Yeah.
Right. And I've gone on record, Mayor, about partisanship, but I have to say, when you say that you had very varied opinions, and you point out to the fact that that committee, the people have varied opinions because they lived in different parts of town. When that committee was named, I went to all the records that I could find. One was the election board. 8 of the members gave money to Jennifer's campaign, and all of them were registered Democrats. Now, I don't see variety there. I don't see variety when the committee for the boardwalk buildings is completely made up of not only registered Democrats, but people who gave money to the last campaign.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
At no time at any of those meetings did we ever talk politics. The designs were for us listening to the architect, the engineer.
No, I understand that, Brian.
And that's what we listened to.
You know why you don't have to discuss?
Listen.
Yeah.
We never talked about how much money did you give to Jen and you can sit in the middle or anything like that. It was strictly, we wanted to work on getting the boardwalk and the pavilions back together for Belmar. We didn't talk.
I understand that.
Yeah, okay.
But you have to understand that you don't have to have a conversation about politics when you're all of the same prerequisite.
I think we disagreed on some things.
I know you did.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in other words, I know a lot of people are skeptical that Bill Lennicky was on there because he's from DJs. But, you know, Bill was very quiet, and he would, people that probably talked the most was John Hutchinson, who used to be an engineer at New Jersey Institute of, College in New Jersey. Ed Windus, the chairman of the planning board, did a lot of talking. I, of course, did a lot of talking. So, but it was never, we were never all on the same page every meeting.
No, I understand. Even
When it came to colors,
There's
choosing
diversity.
colors.
That's your 5 minutes, thank you.
Okay.
Brendan Reed, 109th Avenue. I just, as a citizen who's fronts onto Ocean Avenue, I attended one of those meetings, and I have to fully agree with Councilman McGovern. Those meetings were open, the discussions were freewheeling. This process has been open from the start. Let's talk about it, let's debate about it. There's been back and forth in the papers. How much more information do you possibly want? As a lady here pointed out, look, come to the meeting. This is democracy, this is part of the democratic process. I've been in a lot of different communities, lived in three countries, and I've seen a lot of public processes like this that work, a whole range of process, and this has got to be one of the most open and the most thorough process that I've seen, and I have to really commend you on how you've been carrying it out. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mark Pfeiffer, 319 Fifth Avenue. First off, I appreciate the opinions of all 5 of you. When my wife and I moved full-time to Belmar, we did major construction on a house that was a disaster. Our taxes went up by $2,000, 20%. Thought it was a lot, but we're paying our fair share. We did a 2-story addition, 3 decks in the back, including a rooftop deck. Bad news with Sandy is, a lot of bad news with Sandy, but our 2-car garage got trashed, our cars got trashed. Fortunately, the water did not come into the house. But because of Sandy and the trees that went down, we now have an ocean view. So we look right at Silver Lake and we see the ocean. I think it would be a shame if Taylor Pavilion didn't get built. Whether it's a 1-story or a 2-story and we lose part of that view we have and maybe that extra $50,000 of value my house now has, Taylor needs to be built. And if we put it to a vote, who says it's just going to be, well, you want 1-story or 2-story? Wouldn't we have to include that Taylor doesn't get built? There will be people in town who do not want Taylor Pavilion built. Do we want to take that chance that people will vote no Taylor Pavilion and then it doesn't happen? Because who says that can't be on the ballot? So why wouldn't it be? If we want to listen to what the people want, some people will not want Taylor Pavilion built. So I say go with it. If it's a 2-story, go with the 2-story. I see dangers of having it put on the ballot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And point well taken. Like, as I mentioned, there are people that are opposed to this result. Yes, Bill?
Belmar, 219 Second Avenue. Just real quick, Brian, you sit on the planning board.
Correct.
Matt, you're also on the planning board?
Yep.
Anyone else on the planning board? Okay. If someone came to you for the planning board and said, we don't know what the exact elevations are gonna be. We don't know with the increased capacity if our water and sewer can handle it. We don't know where the garbage from 400 or 500 people are gonna go. Wouldn't you take some time and send the applicant back and say, let's do some research.
Correct.
Let's rethink this one, come back to us next month, come back to us November, and say, you know what, let's get some more ideas. I think the more that comes out about the exact design, the elevations, the costs, I think it's gonna help you guys. I think people want the Taylor Pavilion back, and I think you'll find out with everything out there that you'll get more feedback. But not, I think this first came up on a July 3rd meeting, is that correct?
No, again, we started this process
Yeah, but-
back
but
in January.
What was the special meeting on July 3rd?
During that time, every third Thursday of the month, they met, they talked about lights, a whole bunch of issues, including the pavilions. They had architects, engineers, some of the members here mentioned that they were there as well. So it wasn't just July 3rd. July 3rd, what we did was we kind of rolled it out from the committee, from the advisory board to the mayor and council. Had a pretty big, extensive presentation on it.
July 3rd,
Yeah,
6 o'clock.
The first.
Do you know what the next day is? Do you know that July 3rd is the most traveled day of the year? And to have people come here at 6 o'clock in
There were a lot of people here.
and a lot of people weren't, and that's why you've gotten so many signatures and so many people showing up at this meeting, because it was the next meeting. And I think you understand that, Matt, and you can see the point I'm trying to convey is that now people are here. They want more information. Present it to us. Give us the exact heights. You know, you're on the planning board. Would you accept, what elevation are you at? And they're not having a solid idea on what the elevation is going to be, what the top of that building is going to be. Is it going to be able to handle, I mean, you went on for a half hour about our sewer system and our water system, and you're taxing by doubling the capacity. You're doubling the capacity of that water and sewer there. No one's done a calculation on that. So let's take some time, and I'm not saying months, I'm not saying, come back to us with the exact plan you want.
That's a fair question. We will, if you leave your email with Colleen, we will get you, we'll have our engineers look at the water sewer flow, and we'll get that information to them. That's
Okay,
fair. And we'll
but
put it on the
tonight,
website.
you're voting, so why don't postpone your votes until we have all this information? I couldn't see two planning board members even thinking about making a vote on something that they don't have all the numbers on. They don't know where the garbage is gonna be. I mean, you know, back years ago when I used to walk and run the boardwalk, nothing upset me more is when you see Matisse's dumpster tipped over or not covered properly. And it's upsetting. It's upsetting for everyone that's walking along there. Let's make sure we have a great plan and move forward with it. I think there's a lot of people that want to move forward with it. But let's have all the plans and designs done. Thank you.
Thank you. You gonna run, Chase?
No, I don't run.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Patty Nugent from 104 16th Avenue, and I'm usually in bed by this time at night. So I just want to ask a clarification so I can decide if I'm staying or not. The process is that you had an agenda this evening to vote on a $7.5 million bond for the pavilions.
It's, for all ordinances, there's a two-part process. There's first reading and introduction,
Okay.
and then there's second reading.
Okay, so this is the first reading.
Is that?
You got a proposal or a petition with 500 and some odd signatures, and someone's going to check and make sure they're okay. I didn't sign it, so I'm just asking. If you do this today and you find out it's legal, it meets the requirements to get this on the ballot in November, what happens with your vote tonight?
That's a legal question. I mean, first off, this is just a petition. The petition. What to do.
Is it non-binding?
Not binding.
Yeah, that's just, I haven't seen the petition yet.
We went to look at it first. But you want to sort of explain the process?
Well, what happens is that the clerk has to verify the signatures, and there's certain requirements under the statute to get on the referendum. Here this evening, you have an introduction for particular ordinances. These ordinances will be placed, presuming, I don't know if they're voted upon for introduction. It will then be placed within the next meeting for final vote. That will occur well before
Okay, so they'll vote, but like, just let's do the other assumption, that this is all within whatever legal requirements Kenny Pringle or what other people looked at prior to doing this. If it's legitimate, does their vote
You know what,
supersede?
without looking at what, who's petitioning, without looking at what he's citing, I'm unable to answer that question. I spoke briefly to Kenny about, verifying the signatures, the clerk's gonna do that, and then once I find out exactly what statute he's referring to, I haven't looked at it, then I can answer that question.
Okay, and so how will the town, or how will we be informed of?
We'll be informed of it at the next council meeting.
Okay, okay, great, thank you.
Yes, David.
David Schnapp, 302 C Street. I gotta say that this is outrageous, that people who might want to come here to have for the public session, have something to talk about, they're waiting over 4.5 hours, right? And this isn't a one-time occurrence, this is happening a lot. And you know, you really need to have some consideration. Look how many, almost nobody's left, right? You need to, and when I ran for assembly, I sat in on the...
Okay, David, this is on the resolution.
Yeah, well, look, it may be midnight before we get to the public session. This is really getting out of hand. Let me just say that I sat in on the city council meetings of a number of towns, and they had 2 public sessions, one near the beginning of the meeting and one near the end. You can't expect people to sit here for 5 hours if they got a problem they want to talk about. You got to change it. If you're going to pack these agendas full of stuff that we're... It's about a part of 5 hours already. What if somebody came here, had some kind of issue? You're gonna make them sit through this for 5 hours before they can finally get up to the mic? You really need to have 2 public sessions. Have one at the beginning of the meeting and then one at the end. Please, take that into consideration. You can't do this to these people. Thank you.
Joy, is this on the resolution?
Yes, it is.
All right. Let's agree that Joy will be the last one on resolution. We still have to vote on all this stuff, though. We still have to work into that public session.
I just want to clarify the petition. This petition will address the second floor of the pavilions. There is a second petition that will fight the bond. 2 petitions. The second petition has not been submitted. So we recognize that it is going forward, that likely this will be ignored, but we're going to stop the bond if we can on the ballot. It follows not the Faulkner Act, it follows something else, as I'm sure you know, and that will be on the ballot in November. So we're going to put it on the ballot in November if we can. I also want to very quickly address the transparency, and Brian, I really want to direct this to you. Everybody's been saying there were so many meetings on the Speech Advisory Committee. There were 6. There were 6 meetings. In attendance, various people, not the entire committee at all meetings. The documentation of those 6 meetings was terrible. Nothing was memorialized. And I'll submit another document. Hopefully this stands up to scrutiny. This is from April, our clerk, and she tells me that the township administrator has given me all the records, the entire file, everything in existence on the Beachfront Advisory Committee, discussions, everything, and I got the 16 pictures that were online by the time my Oprah request was answered, and I got the invoice for the architect, which at the time was $24,000, and it was only up until March. And then I got a note that nothing else was available. So I don't see how it was transparent. All I wanted to do when I started this was to review the file. And I was told, there is no file. I said, all right, what do you have, an electronic file? No, there's no file. How do you have a plan of this magnitude and not memorialize anything? You were supposed to, by your own mission statement, provide a monthly report. Did you do that?
We had a gentleman keeping the
Minutes.
And he would send them to all the people and to...
But you were supposed to, leading the committee, you were supposed to supply a monthly report. I read those minutes. And by the way, I only received minutes for 3 of the meetings. The other 3 are non-existent. I don't know why that happened either. And there wasn't really much substance in those minutes. So I had a very, very difficult time trying to find out what was planned. any specifics, and it was very, very difficult. And with regard to the FEMA and the V-zone, now, Colleen, you've spoken to Mr. Priest, correct? Chris Priest, right? So have I. So he told me weeks ago that there had not been a decision to rebuild or repair the pavilions. How come I knew that? And when I asked you at the meeting, you didn't know that. And you kept saying they were going to be rebuilt. But I have him on tape telling me that there was no decision made. But you moved forward and yeah. No, it's not. This is a one-party state consent tape. It's not.
You think that's odd?
Do I think it's odd? No, it runs constantly in my house. I have you on tape too, Mike. You probably don't want to talk to me, but you haven't returned my phone call in 19 days anyway. So he told me that there was no decision yet. And you were moving forward as if you had some knowledge that the buildings were going to be rebuilt. And that's just not accurate. That's why that whole trust issue with you is hard. Because you're not giving us the information that we need. And it's not a transparent, it was not a transparent process.
Can I just make an observation now that I heard you say that you tape everything? And that you found our notes about the meeting?
I don't do it deliberately, by the way. It's just part of what I do for a living.
Just my observation, I bet you our standards of reporting back do not meet your very high level of standards where you record everything. I don't record everything. Mark Fitzgerald that started taking down the notes from the very first meeting. I thought he had very good, much better notes than I took. As a matter of fact,
the minutes, you're referring to the minutes?
I had my written down notes and I saw his notes and we said, Mark, let's go with your notes. But I bet you now that listening to you, Joy, you set a bar so high that maybe you would have liked us to have taped those meetings where it was just I don't think we ever planned to tape everything that was said at those meetings. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to close the public portion of the resolution calendar.
I got stuff to say. I'm gonna say it.
All right, so let's go through the resolution calendar. First one, payment of bills. Why do we have two payments of bills? Is this big or little?
So we had two payments of bills. We have first the big one and the second the little one. The little one I asked to be created just based on recent bill list votes where there was a perceived conflict by a couple of.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
So on the little bill list, I would recommend that based on prior votes that Councilman McGee and Councilman government themselves, and then the big bill list is separate.
All right, I'll make a motion for adoption of resolution authorizing payment of bill list number one.
Second. The big list?
List number one is the big list or small list?
List number one is the big list.
Big list.
So I can vote on this?
Yes. Councilman Douglas? Yes. Councilman Douglas?
Yes.
Quick, couple things. I got them highlighted. The Randall VIP kickoff party, 2,500 is this agreement. Next.
Quicker.
Parking meter, 52,000. What the heck? Did that go up the bid? I mean, how did we get that number? The parking meter beachfront, electronic distribution equipment, $52,000.
That's all good.
It went up the bed? Did it? I did not see that. And the ice, we bought more ice. Why are we still buying ice?
I think that was a delayed bill from his like.
$500 for more ice from Hurricane Sandy. I think it's ridiculous. And last thing, we have. We have more 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, $40,000 in
for cutting, I don't know who they're going to or for why, and I cannot do that, so I am abstaining.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Danny?
Yes. Next resolution authorizing payment of bills is number 2. I can vote on this, correct?
Yeah, just,
I'll offer move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman Dyken?
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Danny?
Yes. Okay, next are resolutions. We're starting on number 9. Yes. Resolution of the Borough of Belmar authorizing an application for post-Sandy planning assistance grant. I will offer move for its adoption.
No. Number 9 is authorization to receive bids for the reconstruction.
Wait a second. How's that a date?
No, that's not.
Oh, all right.
There's one on the first.
All right, resolution authorizing the receipt of bids for construction of boardwalk pavilions. I think we've talked about this. I will offer a move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman Dyken?
Yes.
Councilman Glover?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Real quick, I read the petition, they emailed it to me, I did not sign it. Believe it or not, I really don't care if there's a second floor in Taylor Pavilion. I didn't like the boardwalk. We all have our different issues. The petition says, let's vote on what we're gonna do. I think it's very reasonable. My concern is the finances. If my neighbor thinks it's worthwhile doing, I believe in what the people think, and I think you guys should be able to vote on it, so I'm gonna vote no.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next one is the first change order.
Yes.
All right, resolution pursuant to, what is the, wait.
Second change order, sorry. Boardwalk electrical.
What about the first change order? Is that still on consent? Okay. So resolution is a change order number 1 for boardwalk electrical reconstruction project. Just so everyone has an idea, all these change orders, some are positives, some are negatives. At the end of the day, I think our savings is about $79,000 when you add it all up and subtract it all. So I'll offer move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman Dyken?
Yes.
Councilman Glover?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
It says, whereas the council of the Borough of Belmar has also received from the mayor a request for this change order to amend the cost of the project as shown by the documentation attached to. Where's the documentation?
It was emailed to the agenda.
I didn't get it.
It was the first PDF of it.
I did not look at it, I'm abstaining.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor
I
Doherty?
received it also.
Yes, I love theatrics. Next resolution, change order number 1, improvements 13th Avenue, B Street to Ocean Avenue. Is this on consent or is this off? Off. This is 13th Avenue. I'll offer move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman Dyken?
Yes.
Councilman Glover?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Abstain.
Councilman Nicholas? Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next is a resolution change order number 1 for sewer inspection and cleaning project.
Actually, sorry, I think our number's off.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
change order number 1 for
Oh,
Belmar
library site project, library site work improvements. I'll offer move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman Dyken?
Yes.
Councilman Glover?
What work was this? Was this after the storm in May?
This was actually the change order for the pre-storm work, which was the new drainage system.
Okay. And how did that drainage system work with that May storm?
The drainage system operates as designed. The May storm with that great influx of rain overwhelmed the solution.
And who did the work? Bostic?
What was that?
What was that?
I was mispronouncing the name, but.
Yeah, I think he pronounces the W as a V. Yes, I agree.
Abstain.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Which was next?
Next one, electrical.
Belmar Marine Electrical Repairs Project. I'll offer move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman Dyken?
Yes.
Councilman Glover?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Abstain.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. And then the change order for 13th Ave, improvements on B Street to Main.
No, I think that was it,
All right.
on change orders.
What's the next one? Oh, Special Police 2.
Both of them, top 3 on the last page.
All right, So I'll offer a move for adoption of special student.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Chiefs, we didn't do this last year. At least I didn't find it last year. How come we didn't do this last year? Did we vote on them all? Do you remember, Mayor, do you remember? Did we vote on all these last year?
I don't remember, but this is just standard. We vote on
It
as
just it blows my mind that we
But the
vote.
state requires us to do this, correct?
Right, but
So
2 months after the
We
summer.
kind of have to pass this resolution.
2 months after the summer. I'm just looking for explanation. I didn't know it took go $5. So you're saying this is all legit, it's good to go, we always do this every year? Yes, I vote yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Darrell?
Yes. Next one, special one, police officers. All officers move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Darrell?
Yes. Next one is the compact single engine hydrostatic vacuum sweeper.
Yes.
Man,
It's a mouthful.
all offer move for its adoption.
Second.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Quick question, I know we had a new one running around town, just trying to get the details. Was that on loan, was there more than one?
We have test driven now 3 different single models.
So if it's going up to bid for the lowest model, why do we test drive? Like, do we test drive and they go, this one we like, the lowest bid to that one?
No. We have test drive many models and went out to bid
For that model we like?
for specifications that we knew we wanted. And people could submit bids for that exact specification or alternates, and then we award.
Like, you're saying this is only up and up? Okay, I vote yes.
Councilman Nicolay? Yes. Mayor Darrell?
Yes. I think after that is the consent agenda. I will offer a move adoption of the consent agenda, all remaining resolutions.
Councilman Dyke? Yes. Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Darrell?
Yes. Next are ordinances. Second reading of public hearing. Ordinance for Belmar, Monmouth, for long-term tax exemption authorization and execution of a financial agreement between Federal Main Street Urban Renewal Partners LLC. This is the pilot project for the Havens and Hamptons property. The same developer who developed 8th and Main is looking to do this one. And open this up to public hearing. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So did you actually want to say something?
Glenn, just address the remaining council?
On this ordinance?
No.
Okay, all right. I'll offer to adopt ordinance 2013-.
Second.
Councilman Dyke?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Darrell?
Yes, first reading, introduction, ordinance 2013, ordinance amending supplementing chapter 24 of the general revised ordinance of the Borough of Belmar to add section 24-3 prohibiting the feeding of wild animals. Stop feeding the wild animals.
Especially this Muscovy ducks.
I will offer this for first reading introduction.
Councilman Dyke?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
How's this going to be enforced? Will neighbors have to call it in, or will Bob Hops go around and you know,
Well, here's what I
think it's great because they're so annoying.
Well, here's what I think is going to happen. I think the people that came to me were concerned about the health issues. And I think what's going to happen is now that the ordinance is in place, there will be reporting of the people who are still feeding the ducks or feeding the wildlife.
Okay. Cool. I vote yes.
Why don't we just get rid of it?
Yes.
Never gonna stop
Yes.
doing that.
Yes. Going after the wild animals. Next, first reading introduction, ordinance 2013-14, the ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 40, development regulations and revised general ordinances of the Borough of Belmar pertaining to garages and driveways. This ordinance is for first reading introduction. There's no public comment on this ordinance, but this would allow people to develop their properties with a driveway in the front, and also allow you to park your car in between your house and and the street. Right now it's illegal. We're going to start ticketing people immediately. I'll offer this on first reading. Just think about that.
Second.
Councilwoman Dyke?
Yes.
Councilman Dever?
Yes.
Councilman
Yes.
Councilwoman Hickman?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. Next, first reading introduction, ordinance 2013-15, a bond ordinance providing for the construction of beachfront buildings in and by the Borough of Belmar and the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $7.5 million thereof, and authorized issuance of $7.125 million bond or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. This is for first reading introduction. I'll offer for first reading introduction.
Second.
Councilwoman Dyke?
Yes.
Councilman Dever?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
I would like to see bonding for Silver Lake and Lake Como done before this. I'm saying no.
Councilwoman Hickman?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes. That concludes most everything that we just have our public session. Public comment. Yes, sir. You seem like you wanted to come up and address the mayor and council. Raise your hand. When you called on, come up. Less of the crowd.